how's your day been? Thanks for joining me for Throwback Thursday. Since today is the first episode, I want to take a brief moment to explain what Throwback Thursday is. Throwback Thursday on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook usually involves people reposting old pictures or speaking about things in the past, both good or bad. Artists will sometimes repost old drawings they've done from years ago. For this series, Throwback Thursday will require me to look back at old drawings I've done or characters I've created and redo them. For example, today's Throwback Thursday is to a character I created a few months ago, and I've taken this opportunity to revisit her design. Throwback Thursday will probably not happen every single Thursday, but it'll probably happen, well, it will definitely only happen on a Thursday. You might get Throwback Thursday 2 weeks in a row, you might not. It really all depends on if I have the time or the motivation to redo an old image or character. Anyway, enough explanation, let's talk about Ryiah. Ryiah is, like I said, a character that I created a few months ago. As you saw towards the beginning of this video, I have like three really good examples. I drew a lot of pictures of her in notebooks and stuff, and I don't think I ever really scanned any of them, so I don't have any of them like actually available to me right now. I don't actually know where the notebooks are that have her images. But Ryiah is... Ryiah, I think is how I pronounce it. I'm sorry. Ryiah. It's been so long since I've actually like focused on her that I can't even really remember how I pronounced the name. Ryiah was for a story that it never really got off the ground. It was something like a dream that I had, you know, or it was either a dream or it was a really vivid daydream that I was just laying in bed and thinking about stuff, and then this character and her story kind of just like popped into my mind. Ryiah, before becoming what she is in the images that you saw, Ryiah was a forest guardian, like a forest goddess kind of creature that protects over a certain forest. And of course, because this is an old character, and because I didn't really take a lot of time to flesh out the story, I can't tell you like, oh, it's the forest, you know, that's called this and it's in this location. It's just a forest. If I had actually went through and really worked on the story, then I would have had more details. But Ryiah was a forest guardian, and she was pretty well loved among her subjects, I guess, among her, like, you know, the people that she was, or the creatures that she was protecting, and her forest was relatively untouched by humans and things like that, and so she had a relatively easy job, as her forest was just beautiful and plentiful, and, you know, not much bad happened there, but she would solve conflicts between the forest creatures and deal with any problems that would arise, if any, but of course, not all was always well, because in stories there has to be conflict, there has to be problems, and basically what happens is humans end up like demolishing and deforesting a different forest, like a neighboring forest, and the forest guardian from that one is now out of a home. All of their, I don't think I ever really made a gender for them, but all of the creatures they were protecting are all dead, all the trees are dead, or at least the creatures are scattered. Some of them are probably alive somewhere, but their entire, like, the entire forest that they were protecting over is just in ruins, and of course, you know, they don't find it fair, and whomever is in charge of all the forest guardians can't just regrow a forest for them, or can't just like put them back or put them in charge of a new forest. So this jealous and angry forest guardian comes to Ryiah's forest, which is, you know, beautiful and plentiful and untouched and just generally peaceful, and tries to kill her. But because forest guardians are, you know, like, I don't know if I would say like a goddess or gods and goddesses or whatever, but like, they're not easy to kill. They're like vampires, you know, you can't just like stab them and just like, okay, everything's cool now. It's like you have to go through different steps and stuff, like holy water and whatever. It's not like that, but you know what I mean. Like they're not so fallible that they would die from usual creature and human like ways, you know, like, so essentially Ryiah gets ambushed. She tries to fight back, or at least in the original story, I didn't really have her fighting back. She just gets ambushed and gets her head cut off, and then obviously once you have your head cut off, you kind of can't really fight back because you can't see anything. So she ends up fleeing the scene and wandering for a long time, not really sure where she's going because she can't see anything. She keeps bumping into stuff. She stumbles just so far away from her home. And she eventually gets found by, or she eventually ends up in like kind of like a really deserted kind of, I wouldn't say like a desert, but probably kind of like a desert, like I guess like a really like dry kind of like plateau sort of area. Just there's just nothing there, like a badland, like a badlands. Like there's just nothing there, like hardly anything grows, and it's not really like rich in materials or anything unless you're looking really hard and you're getting to like the dangerous areas and stuff. But that's where she ends up stumbling to because she's so bad at this point. It's not like anything's really gonna mess with her. Like she's already half dead. I mean. And she's like a deity of some sort, so I mean you're probably not going to do anything about that. But yeah, she ends up in this badlands and finally either collapses or is just discovered somehow by the creatures of this badland or this area here. And I never created a name for them. In fact, I didn't even show them here. I might just put up right here. I'll just try to put up a picture of one of the creatures that I created or whatever. But they are known as the metal workers. I don't have like an official species name for them. Of course, this is so awkward to talk about because I don't have like a whole story involved with this or whatever, or like a whole thing fleshed out. But she gets discovered by the metal workers, and a very gifted young metal worker who doesn't have a voice. He can't speak, just he never was able to. But what he lacks in speech, he has in just absolute like skill in his work and stuff. And they work with a type of magic, like a magical kind of metal. And I guess like this is something that I created like way before I just recently watched Full Metal Alchemist, so it's really awkward for me to say that I would compare the metal like that they work with to like automail. But essentially that's kind of what it is he creates a sort of like a metal mask that can be used as Ryiah's new head, essentially. So I guess you could kind of compare it to Al too, like a soul binding to it or whatever. But yeah, he creates a new head for her in replacement of the old one. And now that she has the ability to see and how it has the ability to, I guess, like return home again after healing up and everything, she goes on a quest for revenge and stuff, and regaining her rightful place as the forest guardian of the unnamed forest, which I don't have a name for. For this redesign, I was thinking about the story a little bit more, and I was like, it is a little unrealistic that this other guardian just comes in and she's just completely unaware that his or her forest was destroyed, and just completely unaware that they might be seeking, a new place to reign over. So essentially, this redesign kind of involved, like, I did this redesign with like a story in mind where she fights back instead of just getting her head cut off and being, banished like that or whatever. So essentially, she in my new and updated timeline, I suppose, she does fight back, and she gets like one of her legs, she gets kind of some of her legs like shredded to the point where they're just almost completely unusable, like they're barely hanging on. Her head does still get cut off. Her paws get damaged to the point of just not being repaired. You can see, I guess, the difference between her mane in the original and the new one. Like her mane that goes like in the original it went all the way down her back and like a full bushy tail. In the new one, she kind of has like a rat-like tail, like really skinny and wiry, and there's like barely any fur coming off of it. Or like I guess there's bits and pieces of fur coming off of it, but a lot of it doesn't grow the same beautiful mane like it used to. So yeah, essentially in this new and updated timeline, she does fight back, and instead of running away in fear, she gets like banished. She gets like this new forest guardian comes and destroys her, and then like just tosses her away, like takes her somewhere else, completely away from the forest, and in the Badlands, where he expects her to just eventually starve out and die, or just not be able to maybe not die, because like again, I'm not really I haven't really worked out exactly how they are able to die or not, if they're even able to die, but you know, it expects her to not be able to recover from it in this harsh environment and then just stay there forever kind of thing. And then, you know, and they go back and rule the forest. And so when she gets found by the metalworkers this time, she not only has a head to replace, but an arm, a part of a leg, and like most of her paws. Other than that, there's not really a lot that I had to redesign on her. Maybe someday I'll actually go and draw what she looks like before the attack. That's the thing, like I created this character, but I never imagined, or I've really tried hard to imagine what she looked like before it, but I haven't been able to come up with anything yet. Maybe someday though. But yeah, I guess little tidbits about her character, I guess. She's pretty quiet after the attack, doesn't really talk very much, because, I mean, like, what does she have to say after that? All she really wants at this point is revenge. If you look in her mask, there's nothing there necessarily, but if you look all the way to the back, like, you'll still see, you know, like the torn apart parts of her original head and neck and stuff, which is pretty gross, so don't do that. She does use the eye holes to see out of, despite the fact that she doesn't actually technically have eyes. It's just, I don't know, like weird like soul mechanics or something. I don't know, I'm not, like I said, this isn't really like a story that I had completely fleshed out. This is just something that I do this all the time, where I create these characters and I create these stories and I never completely finish them out. But Ryiah is a character that I really, really love, and I really want to find like a practical use for her, whether it be this story or a different story, but I absolutely adore this character. This is honestly one of my favorite characters I've created. It just makes me sad that I don't really have a good place for her yet, or a good like window to work on her, I guess. Anyway, I guess I'm just gonna wrap that up for Throwback Thursday. I may do her little metalworker companion for the next Throwback Thursday, or maybe I'll go and look at other characters. I have a bunch of characters, I really do. I have a bunch of old characters that I could go back and look at, and a bunch of old art and stuff in general. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed Throwback Thursday, and I hope I don't know, I guess a lot of this really is just giving you a glimpse into what goes through my head when I'm creating a character, or when I'm creating a story or whatever. Yeah, I think this is a lot of fun. I am excited about these, and I want to keep doing them. So, yeah, I will see you some other Thursday with more of this. So, have a great day, guys.